All right, this is our last lesson in the whole series that we have covered for your PT exam. And this lesson is going to revisit the writing task, write essay specifically. And this is part 2 of write essay task. And I'm going to start sharing my screen, and let's look at the agenda straight away. So the agenda for today, it's a brief one. We are revisiting and doing a revision of write essay. We're going to look at paragraph writing skills, and you can go back to listen to part 1 of write essay, where I've talked about writing paragraph skills in detail. Okay. Then we're going to look at reorder paragraph. Again, we have done reorder paragraph in detail. You can go back and visit a reorder paragraph section of the test. And this reorder paragraph is specifically going to look at the essay and how we order paragraphs. Then we're going to look at structure of the essay. Now, what's the structure? Obviously, you've got introduction, you've got body, and then you've got conclusion. So we're going to look at that. Then we're going to look at essay writing skills, a section that is going to look at some of the essay writing skills. And then we're going to talk about essay editing skill. Now, we have done editing skills in part 1. We're going to revisit that. And then we're going to do a time practice where you will write an essay, and I will share with you a proper written essay, but you will do that exercise with me, and that will be timed, and you will use your 20 minutes to write an essay. All right, so write up to 6 supporting sentences. I want you to pause the video here, write at least 6 supporting sentences for the topic sentence. So I'm giving you a topic sentence here. Remember that supporting sentences need to explain and extend the main idea in the topic sentence. They should be logically organized, and they should use linking words and phrases. So the topic sentence, let me introduce you to the topic sentence. A well-written paragraph needs good planning, logical organization, and careful editing. Pause the video here and at least write 6 supporting sentences. And when you come back, we're going to look at those sentences. All right. I hope you had a chance to write down some sentences. Now, let me share with you 6 sentences that we have here, and how we are linking each one of those sentences. Okay, let's look at the note first, and this is a sample response. Let's look at the note first. The supporting sentences explain and extend the main idea in the topic sentence, underlined. So this topic sentence, the topic of the sentence is good planning. Written paragraph is good planning, logical organization, and careful editing. These sentences are logically organized and combined with a variety of linking words and phrases. And linking words are also underlined. A well-written paragraph needs good planning, logical organization, and careful editing. Firstly, a paragraph needs to be carefully planned so that it has a clear topic sentence that states the paragraph's main idea. That's number 1. This topic sentence, now again, this is a linking word, linking the second sentence to the first sentence. This topic sentence should be supported by other sentences that extend or explain the main idea and give examples. In addition, a successful paragraph needs to be carefully organized. Number 4, for example, all sentences should relate to the same idea as the one expressed in the topic sentence, and they should be logically sequenced. Number 5, furthermore, linking words should be used to join sentences together and clearly show the relationship of ideas. And number 6, finally, a good paragraph needs to be carefully edited for grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Now, if you remember all of these underlined words, what are they? They are discourse markers, aren't they? They are discourse markers that help us to create a logic between sentences. To flow the sentences in a logical fashion, you need to use discourse markers like firstly, this topic sentence, in addition, for example, furthermore, and finally. All right, please use those. Don't underestimate them. please use these discourse markers in your essay writing, and you're going to get really good results if you do that. Now let's look at our second activity, or activity number 1, a reorder paragraph, right? Let's look at this prompt first. Tobacco, mainly in the forms of cigarettes, is one of the most widely used drugs in the world. Over 1 million adults legally smoke tobacco every day. The long-term health costs are high for smokers themselves and for the wider community in terms of healthcare cost and lost productivity. Do governments have a legitimate role to legislate to protect citizens from the harmful effects of their own decisions to smoke, or are such decisions up to the individual? That's the prompt, and we have looked at this prompt in part 1 as well. Now, when we write down these paragraphs, right, to determine which paragraphs goes first, we have to look at the introduction paragraph. Introduction paragraphs always goes first. And we also have to consider which 3 paragraphs are in the middle of the sentences. And I'm going to show you some paragraphs, and you'll have to reorder them. And you will have 3 of them in the body. And which paragraph and which paragraph is the final paragraph? Final paragraph has to be your conclusion, all right? So these paragraphs are jumbled, and I want you to sequence them by introduction. Pause the video here, look at the paragraph. First paragraph should be introduction, and 3 of the paragraphs should be the body, and the last paragraph should include your conclusion, okay? Pause the video here and try to organize these paragraphs. All right, I hope you had a chance to organize these paragraphs. Let's look at, I'm going to organize these paragraphs, and I'm going to show you how I organize these paragraphs, okay? Now, we know that, and previously in part 1, we talked about a C1 response. C1 response, we have taken the same example from C1 response. The first paragraph is going to talk about the topic, isn't it? And the opinion. It could have the opinion in the topic sentence, or it may have the opinion in the conclusion. So let's look at the first paragraph. Tobacco is one of the most widely used drugs of the world. Over 1 billion adults legally smoke tobacco every day. Tobacco is slowing taking 1 billion people. Obviously, there is a spelling mistake here. Slowing should be slowly taking 1 billion people in the world towards doom. The long-term health costs are high for smokers who suffer from various heart and lung diseases, reduced concentration, and continually diminishing immunity. Now we need to think of 3 paragraphs that come in our body, and it should be an idea, and it should have more detail explaining the main idea, and also give examples, right? So let's look at this one. Non-smokers accompanying smokers, or those who are in their close vicinity, also become passive smokers and bear of various inevitable diseases as they inhale the smoke, which has an ill effect on their respiratory systems. Thus, the health costs are high for smokers themselves and for wider community in terms of healthcare costs and low productivity. There has been awareness among people for many years about ill effects of smoking, and we've mentioned ill effect on the respiratory system. Now we are mentioning that again, so it kind of relates back to the first sentence, right? About the ill effect of smoking, and various campaigns run by the government, NGOs, and local bodies to encourage people to quit smoking, but the results have not been impressive. The solution is to nip the problem in the bud. School authorities and parents should keep a close eye so that children don't start to smoke because they think it is cool. They should be made aware about the harmful effects of smoking. Government could play a vital role too. Now we talked about NGOs, we talked about parents. right? We talked about authorities. Now we should be talking about someone someone also have the responsibility. So when we say government could play a vital role too, that means we have mentioned other parties in the previous paragraph. So that kind of links together, right? So this comes after we have mentioned the other parties, right? Smoking should not be high hand in advertisements and movie commercials, which have a huge impact on people. It could levy high taxes on tobacco products to keep people away from its reach. Rules for checking children buying such products should be made stringent. And the last paragraph, and if you read the paragraph, you'll see the opinion in this paragraph. This is your conclusion, isn't it? The onus to protect from such products also lie on individuals, as willpower always does the trick. The knowledge of importance of being healthy has to be realized from within. It goes a long way to check the problem. Thus, the solution requires both legitimate action of government and strong individual decisions to eliminate the problem. In the end, the last sentence concludes everything, gives an opinion that both the government, legitimate action from the government, and strong individual decisions is going to help eliminate this problem, right? So you have to think about all of these sentences in this way. So let's look at the explanation of how these sentences are organized. Let's consider these questions. Which paragraph is the introduction, and how did you know it was the first paragraph? The paragraph that begins with "these days" provides an overview of the topic and some background information on tobacco use. So when we provide background information, we do that in our introductory paragraph, right? It is customary to begin an essay with some brief background to the topic. Phrases such as "these days" or "nowadays" are a common way to orientate a reader to a topic, okay? So whenever you start your paragraph or your introduction, you could use "these days" or "nowadays," what's happening. You give some background information and you start your introduction. Then we've got the second point here. Which paragraph is the conclusion? So let's think about what paragraph is the conclusion, and how did we know it was the last paragraph? The paragraph that begins with "the onus to protect." The onus to protect provides a strong summation of the final argument, right? Words such as "thus" allows the writer to express a final statement of an opinion, and this is usually done in the conclusion. When you give the final statement, that's you give that in your conclusion in your last sentence, right? So when you see that, that means that has to be conclusion, and that's how you want to write your conclusion as well. Now, how did you know which paragraph were the body? What language clues helped you to sequence the paragraphs? The paragraph that begins with "non-smokers" also extends the background information of the introduction and logically flows as the second paragraph, right? The second paragraph's discussion of the ill effects of smoking and the roles of schools and parents in addressing the problem then logically flows, right? In the third sentence. Oh, sorry, in the third paragraph. The paragraph that refers to the government too is logically the final paragraph in the body, because it adds discussion of the government's role to that of the previously mentioned roles of schools and parents, right? So these are some of the ways you should sequence and flow your ideas in a logical way, and ordering your paragraphs is very crucial, and ordering your ideas is very crucial when you write an essay, okay? So I hope that helps. Let's look at structure of essays, okay? Now, describe the information that is contained in the introduction of the essay. What do we describe in the introduction? We describe background information to the topic and the main opinion. The middle 4 paragraphs of body or 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs, it doesn't really matter how many paragraphs you have. You provide reasons supporting the main opinion started in the introduction. So when you start an opinion in the introduction, you provide the supporting arguments or your supporting details that gives reasons why you have chosen that opinion. Okay. And in conclusion, you reiterate the main opinion, right? So in the conclusion, you reiterate, you retell your opinion. Okay. A good essay response must contain, namely, some relevant background information, right? These are the characteristics of a good essay. You should have some relevant background information to orientate the reader to the topic, as in the introduction in essay C1, right? A clear stated opinion that addresses the prompt. This can be either in the conclusion, as in C1, because in C1 response, you saw that it was given, the opinion was presented in conclusion. You can also present your opinion in conclusion, or you can also present that in your introduction, or in the introduction and reiterate in the conclusion. So you present your opinion in introduction, and you also reiterate that in your conclusion. And what is the other characteristic of a good essay? Some relevant reasons in support of the main opinion, which are extended and developed in the body of the essay. In the body of C1 essay, you saw that you give the reasons to support your opinion. What you're doing is basically you're giving reasons, and you want to note down, 3 points of why you think that way, right? That's how you want to write your paragraphs in body. Okay, so now we're going to look at this prompt, and we're going to practice our writing skills, essay writing skills. So prompt, let's read this prompt out. Many animals around the world are in danger of becoming extinct in the wild due to loss of natural habitat. Some of these animals may soon exist in only zoos. Is it ethical to keep animals alive in captivity when they can no longer exist in the wild? Or is it better to let these animals become extinct? So looking at this prompt, we need to understand what is our topic, right? Many animals around the world are in danger of becoming extinct in the wild due to loss of natural habitat. You want to paraphrase this background information, and you want to start your first paragraph, your topic sentence, by paraphrasing this question, right? Some of these animals may soon exist only in zoos. Is it ethical to keep animals alive in the captivity when they can no longer exist in the wild? Or is it better to let these animals become extinct? Okay, so let's look at how you would approach this, right? What is the topic of the essay? Should we keep animals in the zoo? Should we keep animals alive in zoo if they can no longer exist in the wild? That is our topic, right? What are the requirements of the essay? To argue whether it is more ethical to keep animals alive in captivity, which is the zoo, or let them become extinct in the wild, right? Which words in the prompt indicate the requirements of the task? So you need to understand what are the words that are indicating the requirements of the task. Think about the following questions. Are zoos beneficial or detrimental for the animals? And you're going to provide reasons why you think zoos are beneficial or detrimental to animals. What are the benefits, cost of keeping animals in the zoo? And obviously you will have to spend money. You can think about the cost, keeping the animals in the zoo. And you can earn money as well, people visiting them in the zoo as well. So there is cost, and there is also money to be made there as well. What are the cost of letting animals become extinct? So if they become extinct, what's the cost of that? You should think of in that way as well, right? Are there any benefits to letting animals become extinct if they can no longer live in the wild? What are the benefits? You can also think about the benefits of letting animals become extinct if they no longer live in the wild. And you have to take a stance. Now you have to take a position on the topic so that you can state a clear opinion, right? So to come up with a clear opinion, you have to take a stand. Is it good for animals to stay in the zoo or be in wild and become extinct? That's how you should have a thought process going through. And this is how you need to think of when you are thinking about your ideas. Now, before writing the concluding paragraph, so we talked about introduction, we talked about the body. Now let's talk about conclusion. Before writing the concluding paragraph, you should check your introduction and body paragraphs. So after you have written introduction, you have written the body that supports the introduction and that supports your topic sentences. Then you have to read. You should check your introduction and body paragraphs for logic, clarity of an argument, and flow. Okay, once you have done that, now you're in a good position to write a conclusion. Okay, you should also think about using linking words, vocabulary, and grammar. Your concluding paragraph should clearly restate your opinion. Okay, so a lot of people ask me this, where should we write our opinion? But you can write in your introductory paragraph, and that's a good thing, and that's what I do normally. I present because I'm making it very clear what my position is, because it kind of helps me to write the body, because I know already what I presented. For example, my opinion in this case is the animals should be in the zoo because they're more safe there and they're not going to be extinct anymore. To preserve them or to have that conservation, we should keep them in the zoo. I will present it very clearly in my introductory paragraph, and then whatever I'm writing in the body should kind of go back to, I'll talk about the benefits of keeping them, the cost, and all of these things. I will be relating it back to the introduction, and when I write my conclusion, I will reiterate or restate my main opinion so that it's all clear and logical. So that's how you want to write. These are the essay writing skills that you should master. All right, after that, once you have written your complete essay, this is the checklist that you need to go through. And after you have done writing your time practice essay, I want you to look at this checklist, and I want you to, if there is any element of this checklist that says no, then you need to go and fix your essay, okay? So let's read out what are the things that you should look for. All right, what are the things that you should look for? Number one, introduction. What are the things in introduction you should be looking for? Does the opening paragraph introduce the topic clearly? All right, does the opening paragraph has the topic clearly stated? Okay, if it's correct, then it's a yes, you can move on. The other thing you want to look for is, does the essay have clearly stated main opinion? So you want to make sure you have main opinion is clearly stated in your introduction. This could be given in the introduction, in the conclusion, or in both. I suggest that you give your opinion in both introduction as well as your conclusion, okay? Number three, is the opinion directly relevant to the topic of the essay? Your opinion should be directly related to what? To the topic, not something else. Because if you're writing irrelevant information, we already know this, that you're going to lose marks or maybe even score 0 if you're not giving the right opinion, if you're not writing about something that's the topic, okay? Number 4, does the main opinion fulfill the requirements of the task? So it might ask you for a few things in your requirements, right? So you want to pay attention to the requirement of the prompt, and you want to think when you write your opinion, does it cover all of the requirements? That's also something that you should think of when you write your opinion in the introduction. Now let's talk about body, right? What are the things that we should look for in our body? Number 1, does the body of essay contain reasons that help to support or explain the main opinion? Are you including reasons that are supporting and explaining the main opinion that you presented in the introduction. Number 2, are these reasons clearly explained in separate paragraphs? So if you've got three reasons, right, are they properly explained in separate paragraphs? Reason number 1, reason number 2, reason number 3, okay? And have you given examples or explanation for them, right? Number 3, do all the reasons directly relate to the topic of the essay? So you want to check your paragraph 1, paragraph 2. I'd suggest write 2 paragraphs, but if you're writing three paragraphs, you've got 3 reasons. You should look at all of the paragraphs and make sure that your reasons are directly related to the topic of the essay. Okay, if one of the reasons is not related to the topic, you're not going to score marks for that paragraph because that's not relevant. Okay. Number 4, are the paragraphs logically ordered? So you want to order them logically. So if you've mentioned one information previously, and you mentioned the other information, for example, you've talked about schools and individuals, and now you're talking about governments too should have a responsibility, then they should be in a logical way, right? It shouldn't be the other way around, that you're saying that governments to have the responsibility, and then you're writing schools and individuals have responsibility. That doesn't make sense. So you can say government had responsibility, and then you can say schools and individuals have responsibility as well. When you're using as well or to or also, they should logically have the connection between them, right? So look for the order as well, logical order. And lastly, are the ideas presented in a way that is clear and easy to follow? It's not complicated to understand, right? So you should read it to yourself and see if it all makes sense. If it's really hard and complicated for you to understand, it's hard for the examiner to understand as well, and you're going to lose points too. So you want to make it easier for people to understand, okay? Now, lastly, let's talk about conclusion. What is the thing that you should be looking for in conclusion? Does the conclusion clearly restate the essay's main opinion or argument? So the idea, the opinion that you presented in the top, is it persistent? Is it consistent with your opinion? Are you restating it in your conclusion? That's something that you should look for. And if you're not doing that, you want to go back and write down your opinion and restate your opinion in your conclusion, okay? Lastly, note, if you check no boxes when assessing an essay, the essay will probably need to be revised. So any of these elements, if they're missing in your essay, you'll have to go and revise and fix your essay for those areas, okay? Now we're going to do the time practice, okay? I'm going to give you a prompt, and you're going to look at this prompt and plan your essay. We talked about planning is super important. Spend 3 to 5 minutes planning your essay, 10 to 12 minutes writing your essay, and 3 to 5 minutes editing your essay, okay? So let's read this prompt, and I will give, you can pause the video here, and then you'll take 20 minutes strictly and write the essay. And when you come back, we're going to review the response, and we're going to see a good example of a written essay, okay? So the prompt here says the claim that animals have rights has been subject of much debate since 1970s, okay? From 1970s, there has been a debate that animals have rights, rights to survive, rights to, freedom and all these kind of things. Are zoos helping or hurting animals? Are they helping? Are they really keeping them safe, or are they taking away their freedom, right? Should zoos be banned? So what it's saying is that, do you support zoos or not? In the other way, do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, that means you're supporting the zoos. If you agree, that means you are in favor of zoos to be banned. Okay, please pause the video here, write the essay, and come back, and then we're going to review the response. All right, I hope you had a chance to write the essay on your own in 20 minutes. You did the planning, you came up with the opinion, you know the topic, you mentioned the topic, you paraphrased the topic, then you gave your opinion, then you wrote down 2 or 3 paragraphs supporting your main idea and your opinion, and in the conclusion, you summarized it. You summarized your opinion as well, and you restated your opinion. Okay, so let's read a good example of this essay. Good zoos serve the welfare of animals. They generate in people a commitment to value of nature, they generate in people a commitment to the value of nature and environment. So if you read this sentence, it's introducing the paragraph that zoos are good for animals, and it's also given an opinion that they generate a commitment in people that, you know, a commitment to value nature and environment. Okay, so it's in favor of zoos. So that means it's going to be disagreeing, right? It's kind of disagreeing, isn't it? Now let's read the supporting and supporting arguments and supporting information in 3 paragraphs in the body. In the past, there have been questionable zoos employing cruel practices. These zoos, of course, need to be reformed. So it talked about in the past, you know, there was cruel practices that were carried out by the zoos. Good zoos where animals are cared for properly, well fed, and well looked after, and where animals are kept in spacious surroundings are becoming the norm. So the things are changing now, and that's why this writer thinks that zoos are a good thing for animals, right? And these should be encouraged, right? So he's supporting his idea, what he presented in the introduction. Zoos increasingly become places where people are encouraged to connect with animals. It's again giving a great example of why zoos are great. The long-term future of zoos depends on people making a commitment to animals' long-term well-being. Okay, so all of that connects and talks about, you know, good practices of zoo, right? And what's needed to make it good. Now, paragraph 2, the emphasis has shifted from zoos being seen as places of entertainment. So previously it was used as an entertainment. People were entertaining themselves looking at these animals. Now it's changing. So it talks about towards zoos being seen as places of education. And now it's seen as places of education rather than entertainment. Most modern zoos put their main emphasis on conservation and education, to conserve the animals, to protect the animals, and the education. Visitors come to zoos to learn about nature, the environment, endangered species, and conservation. Far from encouraging bad treatment of animals. They're not coming to encourage bad treatment of animals. Okay, so when you go to the zoo, people are really there to learn about animals rather than seeing them as an entertainment. Zoos provide a direct experience of other species that will increase ecological awareness. So all of that is linking to the good idea of you know, having the zoos. Okay, or it's in favor of zoos, right? In other words, it's disagreeing with the prompt. Programs, now third paragraph in the body talks about programs in zoos to breed endangered animals in captivity are lauded as huge success stories. Animals such as tigers, pandas, and gorillas have a chance of surviving as species because of these programs. Now, to protect these endangered animals in captivity are success stories. They're helping all of these endangered species like tigers, pandas, and gorillas. They have now a chance to survive because of the zoos, providing that animals are treated well. Now, this is the condition of these programs. They should be provided they should be provided good conditions, right? So provided that means it's conditioned on animals that are treated, they should be treated fairly, they should be treated well. There is no reason why conservation, education, and cruelty-free entertainment should not all be combined in the zoo. Okay, provided that animals are treated well, there is no reason why conservation, education, cruelty-free entertainment, even entertainment talks about entertainment, but it should be cruelty-free, should not be all combined in a zoo. So that's also in the favor of my opinion, saying that zoos are a good idea for protecting animals. Okay, it's not my opinion; it's just the opinion presented here, by the way. And then lastly, in your conclusion, it talks about animals can and should be studied in the wild. It's paraphrasing and summing up information. Should be studied in, can and should be studied in the wild. But, so in the wild, that's the other argument, right? But they can also be studied more closely, more rigorously, and over a more sustained period of time in captivity, because you will have more time to study them closely, rigorously, and over a more sustained period of time in captivity. That is the opinion, again, in favor of the zoos, right? For endangered animals to be given a better chance to survive, zoos need to be supported. Again, it sums up the opinion in the last one. It gives the opinion very clearly, and it says, the reason why I believe the zoos should be supported is because they will, animals will have a better chance of survival. It's a very good example of how you want to write your essay, and if you see any gaps in your essay, compare your essay with this essay and see if you wrote your opinion in the start, either you agree or disagree. All of your paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs in the body, if you wrote 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. All of those paragraphs should be linked back to your opinion, and you gave examples and you gave explanations. And in the end, in conclusion, you paraphrased and you talked about the other opinion and you said, contrast with your opinion, and you gave in the end, in your last sentence, you said your opinion, you made it very clear what your opinion was, which is to protect animals in the zoos because they have better survival chance. Okay. All right, so let's look at this time practice that we looked at just now. The author's main opinion is zoos are good for the welfare of animals. That's clear from the main opinion in the introduction. Where the author's main opinion is given in the introduction as well as in the conclusion. So in this one, in this example, he's made it clear in his introduction what side he was arguing for, and also in introduction he makes it very, very clear by restating it. The reasons given to support the main opinion. What are the reasons that he gives for supporting the main opinion? Zoos provide important educational and conservational information, and they allow endangered species to be bred. Recap all the things that we talked about. We talked about paragraph skills, and you can do a recap going back to the write essay part 1 of this series. And we talked about the construction of our essay. First, you want to write a good introduction where you want to state your opinion very clearly. You want to paraphrase the question and you want to state your opinion, agree or disagree. And then we want to write down the body. In body, we will write down the supporting ideas with explanation, with examples, and they should all be supporting the main opinion that you presented in your introduction. And they should be logical, right? Use cohesive devices, use discourse markers that we talked about. And you want to write down, if you're presenting 3 reasons, the reasons should be logical. Reason number 1, I think that. Reason number 2, I think that. Reason number 3, I think that. And then conclusion, you want to again restate your opinion and make it very clear what position you're going for. I wish you all the best. You have done a great job. This course has been a long, long journey, and you have sticked around. If you sticked around till the end of this course, I want to wish you all the best. and I'm proud of you. You have done a great job. This course has been very, very comprehensive. We have discussed about a lot of skills, and if you are unsure about any of the skills, go revisit those skills, and please reach out to me with any questions if you have, and I will try to answer as much as I can and help you out with that. I wish you all the best, and I will see you next time.